This is an area formed by the union of Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan. An area that should have been a world superpower today because it has existed for thousands of years. Until now, this area has been the central point of the Silk Road, especially in the Silk Road, which was a trade route that connected China to Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Western Europe. At that time, Central Asia was so important that in the 13th century, the world's most populous city was Merv, which is located in Turkmenistan and was exactly on this trade on the route, and similarly, the cities of Samarkand and Bukhara in Uzbekistan were known around the world for their culture, art, and architecture. 800 years ago, Central Asia was a powerhouse which the Chinese, Mongols, and Persian empires tried to control in their own time. But today, this Central Asia has become very irrelevant and unimportant for the world economy. And the biggest reason for this is its geography and some events that happened last century. There are aspects that have rendered this global crossroads so insignificant today. Although this region is abundant in various natural resources, if one looks at the geography of Central Asia, it's entirely landlocked and the 5 countries here have no access to a major sea. Then this region is wedged between 3 world powers, Russia, Iran, and China, which persistently exert their influences on it for their own gains. Now, geography plays a significant role in determining the economic potential of a country, its access to trade routes, and its defense against enemies. These elements all define geography. If we discuss Central Asia, about 60% of its landmass is desert. Turkmenistan consists of 70% Karakum Desert, and only 20% of its land is suitable for agriculture. Similarly, Western Uzbekistan is also a desert, which is why these 2 countries are comparatively less affluent than their neighbors, especially Kazakhstan, because the northern parts of Kazakhstan are extremely fertile for agriculture, and wheat is cultivated here, which is grown in all Central Asian countries. But the southern and western side of Kazakhstan is dry and infertile. Now, most of the population of Central Asia lives here in the southeast because 2 rivers pass through here, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya. These both empty into the Aral Sea on the Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan border. Now, you might think the land around these rivers would be suitable for cultivation. Unfortunately, it is not. In fact, the Atlai mountain range in the south and east of Central Asia extends from China to Mongolia, Central Asia, and Russia. Because of this mountain range, there is no spare flat land in this entire area to grow crops. If you look, only 20 to 25% of the land of Central Asia is suitable for agriculture, and it's why nobody lives in this whole area of Kazakhstan, Western Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. Though just above are Russia and Ukraine, where 60 to 80% of the land is fertile for agriculture. This is why, even today, 50% of Central Asia's population resides in rural areas. She lives in and cuts off from the rest of the world just animals on their lands. They graze and live by drinking their milk and eating meat. But if you look at the map of Central Asia, then there is an air sea on the western border. Why don't Central Asian countries benefit from this? To know the answer, we have to go to history. In fact, all the people who live in Central Asia today are actually Turks who migrated here from Siberia, northern China, and East Asia about 4,000 years ago. Around the 6th century AD, these people established their empire here. Extended from the Black Sea to Mongolia, then into the 7th and 8th centuries, from Amu Darya to Sir Darya, this entire area went under Muslim control. These are the same areas that are today called Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan. Then the 13th and in the 14th century, the Mongols occupied all this area, and many years Central Asia remained under the control of the Mongols until the 16th century, when the Mongols asserted, if broken, there is an attempt to take control of this area between the Russian and Chinese Empire. It started, and then finally in 1917 the Soviet Union gave the area this year. The first thing the Soviet Union did was to take control of it. The 5 major ethnic groups, Kazakhs, Tajiks, Turkmenis, Uzbeks, and Kyrgyz, were divided into countries. Now this thing shows how much awareness the Soviet Union had of ground realities, that it made whatever group was in majority in every area into a country. America's greatest mistake in Afghanistan was its obliviousness to the region's ethnic reality. This led to the attack on Afghanistan in 2001, where it toppled the Taliban government and handed control over to the Tajik population instead of the Taliban, despite the Tajiks only comprising 30% of the Afghan population and primarily speaking Dari. Meanwhile, Pashtuns make up 50% of the country's population. As a result, the Afghan government lost control over the people of Afghanistan. Within just a month of America's withdrawal from the nation, the Taliban regained control. The Soviet Union had divided this region and initiated development. However, their communist ideology led to conflict with the inhabitants. Due to the majority of the population being Muslim and the communists' strong opposition to religious ideologies, mosques and churches across Central Asia were closed for many years, leading to significant tension with the local population. Bloody clashes also continued, the result of which was that many Central Asians, Afghanistan, the Middle East, and the subcontinent migrated to the Soviet Union. He realized that in this way the resentment among the people of Central Asia would increase greatly, and if it would be difficult for them to take control of here, then they have developed here. Started and gradually started giving religious relaxation. Now there is a very interesting fact here that today Central Asia, the world's largest cotton producer, and the credit goes to the Soviet Union. But this cotton irrigation has also caused a lot of damage to Central Asia. In fact, for the irrigation of cotton, the Soviet Union built canals from the Aral Sea to Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan and Tajikistan so that water could be supplied to the cotton fields. All this cotton used to go from here to Russia through rail networks, and from there, the rest of the world was exported. But its biggest loss was that, due to the formation of more canals, the water of sea started to dry, and today, after 100 years, the world's fourth largest lake is now the Soviet Union has become a desert for 40-50 years of cotton exports to Central Asia. After the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1991, he made a lot of money on the Central Asian countries. Soviet control ended, but two new problems emerged for them. One, their industry has been destroyed due to years of communist control, and now they had to build a new industry and economy, and another RLC, the biggest source of water for these countries, is now almost exhausted. Due to these economic problems, the governments could not deliver, and many Central and Asian countries after 1990, tremendous civil war and political instability started. For example, there was a civil war in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan in 1990, and then Uzbekistan in 2005. There were a lot of fights in the government and the locals. And this process is going on till now, and then from above the world powers, due to being middle, Central Asia is also a victim of power politics. Like today, 80% of Central Asia's natural gas goes to China and Russia, who have these gas pipelines are self-developed and therefore much less than these countries. They buy gas at a price, and then now China after the Russia-Ukraine war. And India is now importing gas from mainly Russia, due to which the Central Asia's natural gas demand has fallen to all in Central Asia has become just a puppet due to its geography, history, and current geopolitical dynamics, which the world powers use for their benefit, and then their meaning throws away when completed. Maybe in the coming time, if Russia and China emerge as world powers, perhaps this silk, the road should become important again, and once again Central Asia trade and culture. But for now, the next atlas sees this happening before 10 years. The geography of any country plays more than 50% of its economic success. We made a video on America's geography some time ago and told how America's geography has played a huge role in making it a world superpower. It's a must-watch video for everyone. Here are all the sources from where we have consulted for today's video. If you like today's video, then like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video with another interesting topic. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.